Often when I start to talk, it's a little bit like those guys at the comedy club where people throw out three ideas and you got to weave them into a scene of some kind. And these ideas have come up and I have no idea how to weave them into a talk, but I'm going to try. The environment, psychotropic drugs, and this is your chance to know God. So, the thing I want to say about the environment, and I think this is important, two things. The environment is changing, and we all live in it. We're all part of it. I'm talking, of course, the external environment. We're aware of this idea of climate change, of historic storms, movement of very strong global energies shifting, life forms on the planet being deeply affected, which includes you. We are not, any of us, unaffected by the world around us. It's real, and it will impact our sense of ourselves. You know, those of us who go to the supermarket and bring our own bags, those who are still getting plastic bags, those who ask for paper bags. You know, this is all part of a sort of emerging consciousness about our stewardship of the planet and our role in the world around us. And it's really an external aspect of an internal process. We all live in an internal environment. It is in some ways reflected by things externally, but not always. What happens when you surrender your story, when you surrender your narrative, you surrender your history, you're left with this, what I call the what is. You're left with what is, what, you know, your physical body, your residue of an emotional life, of a historical life. Whatever it is, this is what is here now in this moment, this is what's real. And this reality has an environment. It, in a sense, is what you know of yourself. You can relate to your story, you can relate to your outside world, but what you know moment to moment, day to day, is this thing which has no name, is somewhat undefinable, but it is the environment of you. And there is a certain vague constancy to this environment. It's unbelievably familiar. It's how you know yourself. This is me. This environment is me. And you really feel that without knowing that you feel it. It is the familiar. And in some cases it is dysfunctional, it is not happy, it is anxiety-ridden, it is hopeful, it is full of love. It's whatever it is. And of course, you know, it shifts to certain degrees and it operates within certain parameters. But it is the essential you as a mind-body entity. Whenever you come to class, and you sit down, or whenever you sit down to meditate, and you surrender, what you basically surrender is, I have to go to work tomorrow, and I forgot to do that paper yesterday, and I've got to do this, and I've got this on the shopping list. That's kind of what most of you surrender. And it's a good thing to let go of, because it really fills your head, and it's very noisy, and it's really not terribly consequential. And so you sit down here, and you go, ah, God, all that's gone. And then what do you feel when you do that? You feel your environment. And it doesn't hit immediately. You're not aware of it immediately, because most of us are deeply unaware of our environment. But as you sit there for a few minutes, 5 minutes in attempted stillness, you start to feel it. Creaky. Not all that happy. Kind of bored. Kind of you. The generalized you. And then, it may be more than that. I'm projecting a certain kind of you. But then there's this idea that goes along with this class that says, I'm here to achieve something. I'm here to find my deeper self, something behind or more profound than something more profound than, sort of aches and pains and stuff you experience normally. The tensions, the vague discomforts. You want to go deeper than that. So you take a breath and you ask inside for help to surrender. And this is the beginning of a really interesting journey, because the self of your environment, the place that you know intimately, goes through a strange psychic shift. If you're lucky, if you've been working, you will feel something, usually in your heart chakra, and it will go, oh yeah, there's something else here. There's some otherness. There's something really, really comforting, really sweet, really good. And you get hints of it when you sit still in your environment. And you take that breath and you begin this process and you go, wow, yeah, okay. And you start to enter into that space, and that space starts to expand and allow you in. And you get a little click of something, say, that's why I'm here. Oh yeah, that's why I came here today. I came for that. And if you're able to enter that, you go, yeah, okay, let me just stay here for a while. And your environment becomes infused by this state of well-being. It's a good thing. You know it's a good thing, otherwise you wouldn't come here. And then, at some point, the environment begins to kind of present itself again. Your neck hurts, your back hurts, my neck hurts. But whatever your thing is, you start to feel tight, and you go, oh God, I just lost it. Like, okay, let me go back. Please help me to surrender. And there it is again. It's so beautiful. How is it that that beautiful thing is there all the time, and I'm always sitting in my kind of crazy environment? How does that happen? But the minute you think about it, you start to lose it, so you stop thinking about it. And you just sit there, and you go, this is worth it. It's all you know. This is worth it. This is worth the drive. And if you're really lucky, it deepens. It starts to actually open up in your belly. And it's like, oh, wow, this is even deeper. Wow. I'm feeling vast. I'm feeling I've got it. You know, it's that mojo feeling. I've got this. This is good. I'm really spiritual. It's extraordinary feeling. And then you really open up and it goes into your sex organs and it's like, oh God, this is really unbelievable. Unbelievable. And then it goes up your spine and you feel, sometimes you feel it go up your spine, sometimes you just feel this unbelievable new expansion of it. And you go, it's a cosmic thing. It kind of goes outside your head. And some of you are saying, well, that hasn't happened to me yet. What's wrong with me? And then you go back into total frozen environment. But it happens. It gets big. It's so simple. Sometimes it's dramatic. Often it's not dramatic. It's just, I am in touch with myself. I am in touch with God. I'm in touch with the universe. I am that. I am one with that. Don't ever let me forget this. Don't ever let me lose this. I will just sit here. And you don't want to do anything. You don't want to move. You don't want anything. You just want to be. You just want to be. That is the journey into the self. It comes out of this practice. It comes out of any meditation practice. That's where you go. That's why you do it. And then, as you all know, we've talked about it, the class is over, we hug, it's all very sweet, you're kind of grateful, the environment of you is starting to make itself known again, the car problems, the getting to wherever you have to go, and all of that stuff is coming back, and this thing which is so real in you in that moment starts to become a memory. It's a memory of something, enough to bring you back the following week or to make you sit the next morning, but it's a memory. The promise of this work, the promise of this practice, is at some point the story of you, the narrative of you, which I talk about all the time, will suddenly go gone. And all that's left, really, is the environment of you and access to yourself. Access to this place within you. And you start to feel there's no real barrier between your environment and this, and it keeps wafting in and out, and there's no effort, there's just this presence, and there is this being, and this being gets hungry, it wants to sleep, it wants to have connection with people, but it isn't terribly personal. It's not about you and needing your stuff. It's just about this being, this physical being, wanting something that is universal. Food, sleep, connection, love. And there is within that this extraordinary thing that you've been working for your whole meditative life, which is, Rudy called it energy. People call it presence. It's just there. And what you become aware of is that it's really always there. The only thing that keeps you from being completely there with it is no longer your personality, ego, mind story, it's your environment. And that environment is fickle. In every human being, it's fickle. Just like it is outside here. Not as much in California as in, let's say, in Des Moines or somewhere, where you've got huge weather patterns, but we get versions of that here. We're all in where the location we are supposed to be in. So the weather patterns are outside. They are part of this emotional thing. They're part of the environment of us. There's all sorts of things that are part of the environment of you. And what you do is you learn how to function in an environment. You have a warm coat for a cold day. You have short sleeve shirts for the hot ones. You start to have a sense of how to live in this environment, and how to be present. And that's an extraordinary life, conscious life. You live a life of being in this moment. And of course, as we've talked about it, you can never not be in this moment. So, psychotropic drugs. When your environment becomes untenable, something that begins to happen more and more for people as they age. So some of you aren't there yet, but some of you understand this because even though you haven't aged, you have what we can call mental disturbance, emotional disturbance, disturbance in the atmosphere. And sometimes those disturbances are brief, and sometimes they are prolonged. And they're really difficult. They're really difficult. And those of you who have those, anxieties, fears, inhibitions, tensions, obstacles, you walk around in a constant state of disturbance. And you're always looking for a way out of that disturbance. Most people are. And so we begin to change everything we can in the environment. Our food, our exercise patterns, our relationships, and our mind. You begin to read self-help books like mad. You begin to go to yoga classes like mad. You begin to want to practice meditation. Why? Because you want out of your environment. You want out. And yet that environment's constantly there. It's you. It's really you. And you can't exactly get out of it. But those of you who come to a class like this and you sit down and you open, find peace. And it's not peace separate from your environment, it's peace within your environment. It's like, it's crazy space in here, but it's okay. It's my space, it's what I have. You begin to make this kind of harmonic relationship with who you are. This inner joy and sweetness starts to waft out and permeate your environment. And you carry it with you. It's really beautiful. And you go, I can do this. I can be me. Meaning, I can be this messed up environment and still have this extraordinary quality of life. It's a great thing. It's a beautiful thing. And that's the joy of meditation. Then, getting back to this particular story, which I got into last week and was embarrassed about, and will get embarrassed about again. Because of the pains that I have experienced with my shoulders and neck and all this stuff that have been kind of unrelenting, and then sleep disturbance, which makes it more difficult, the environment is really altered. It's really altered. And I sit every day and I work. And I open and I feel, in the midst of all of this crappy stuff, I feel all of this love, all of this joy, and a sense of well-being. But I can't sleep because it hurts. And I keep wanting somebody to help me get through the night. So the doctors that I see have prescribed these different pills for me to try. It's all experimental. And the other night, they gave me a drug called Neurontin. I don't know if you know Neurontin, but it's an anti-seizure drug that is supposed to really help with my particular nerve problems, pain. And I had a dear friend who's a therapist, she's my therapist. She said, don't take that. That's dangerous. That's a dangerous drug. It does unbelievable things to your mind. And I said, but the doctor prescribed it, and he thought it, a very low dose, he thought it would help. Blanche read all of every page of the things that are going to happen if you take this thing. She said, do not take this drug. but I kept saying, one little pill, at least I'll find out what it does. It's just to find out. Why should I be afraid of one little pill? So I take it. And I go to bed. And about an hour and a half later, I'm having this sweet little dream. I'm playing with my, I thought it was my granddaughter, I don't know who, but these little kids. And they're all trying on these little wigs. And they gave me a little wig to try on. And I put on the wig, and all of a sudden it goes like that. It just grabs hold of my head. It locks on. It starts to absolutely reweave its way into my brain cells. And I never, ever, except on LSD, many, many years ago, have experienced anything as terrifying. It was taking over. It was completely rewiring my brain and changing my environment into a completely new person. Completely new. A person who would have no pain. That was a bargain. It was no pain. I would not have to ever suffer pain, but I would no longer be the person who was living in the environment known as Bruce. And it was a bargain. And it was truly a Faustian bargain. You know? I could get rid of all of that shit, but I wouldn't be who I was, and I would not have access to that. It was going to completely rewire all of this and free me, but entrap me. And I found that really unsettling. And I shot up in bed and my heart's going like that. And I'm going, I don't know if this is just beginning and I'm really on the edge of going totally psychotic, which is what it felt like. Or if this is a mild version that's not going to go any farther. I just couldn't tell. So I immediately opened up my little iPad and started typing a note to my wife saying, if you don't know me tomorrow, this is why. This is what happened. And I said, the worst version of this is you will know me, and I will be talking about why I want to take this pill every day, because it really helps. It really helps me. But I really knew that she might not be available to know this, and I thought I was going to scare her. So I sent this off to my therapist instead of to Blanche. I actually sent her the whole note that I wrote, saying, "Look, I took that pill and I got in trouble. It's not a good thing, and it's a really bad drug. And I don't know how you get off it. I don't know what you do, but I just was concerned that if this thing took over, I was in trouble." But I was reminded at that moment of a friend, a really wonderful woman who had breast cancer, who was dying and who took a pain pill, a pain drug. And her name was Roz Benson. She was really remarkable. And I never understood this story until that night. She took the pill, and then she grabbed the bottle about an hour later, and she ran into the woods and threw it as far as she could so she would never ever know how to find it and never take it again. So, this is important. Our culture is completely drugged out. There are people taking these pills every day. I'm not saying they are across the board bad. I think if you have seizures, and this is also for epilepsy, this drug, if you have these things, God bless, this can help. But people are being prescribed all of these strange things that not only change your narrative, they change your environment entirely. To the point that you will not know yourself. You will not know who you are. You may, if you're lucky, have an extraordinarily strong muscle system to bring you back to yourself, to your true self. And if you can do that, then you can in some way work beyond this whole new person that you are and find your way back to presence and self. But I heard this story again, this is many years ago, I never believed it, but it was an interesting story of Ramakrishna, who at one point was so able to leave himself and move into other life forms, almost into other people, that he entered into the body of and mind of a cat in his ashram. And they say he spent a year inside that cat trying to figure out how to get out. He had no idea how to get free of the cat. And so he had to take all of the years of practice that he had to get out of a non-human state and back into awareness. This all sounds weird. I know it all sounds weird, and I wouldn't even be talking about it, but I took a pill that actually took me into an altered state that was not friendly to my years of practice. And one of the things that hit me in the middle of writing that note was, give me pain so I can be alive. I would rather have pain and be alive than have deadness and be this other thing, this other, whatever it is, that is not feeling and not alive. So whatever kind of warning that presents to you, to me there's something important. We are all looking for pain relief in some level. We are all doing that. Rudy had this extraordinary statement that he gave me early on, and I never understood it either. But he said, pain is God's love. And I fully understood that the other night. That by opening and embracing pain, I was alive. By not allowing pain and finding this promise of no pain, I would not be alive. I mean, I would be here, but I wouldn't be talking to you guys. I know I would have nothing to say. I would be embarrassed beyond belief. I would have been this kind of person would be sitting here. And you see it exactly, you see it like that. It's an opportunity we are all offered in this world. And I'm, going on record saying, if you can avoid it. Again, I don't want to speak to people in unbearable pain. You do what you have to do, and that's all I can say. But if you can avoid it, take the pain of life because it brings you to the beauty of life. The pain of life is how you know beauty. It's how you know what it means to be alive. And yes, it hurts, and yes, it's tricky, and yes, it's hard, and as you move toward the end of life, as some of us are doing more rapidly than others, you really get, this is hard. This is really hard. This is not an easy journey for any of us. And if you want to go through it, you better have a muscle system that can handle it. And if you want a muscle system, again, Rudy said this to me, you've got to start this work when you're young. Because that's the thing that builds the muscle that allows you to get through the indignities and difficulties of all that stuff that's going to happen toward the end. It doesn't get easier. Which brings me to knowing God. And a line that I read the other day by Kabir, and I'm not good at quoting actual lines, but he basically said, why do people think they'll know God at the end of their life, at the last moment of their life, if they've never known God in their life? Why do you think you will have a finality, a death that will suddenly say, oh, here's God? He said, you have to know God in life to have God when you leave life. And this is the opportunity. It's why we're here. We're here to know God. We're here to know whatever you want to call God. I'm going to call it profound presence. The finding of that here opens you to the eternity of that when you're not here. I would not want to try to find God in the millisecond between life and death. It's too much work. It takes a life. It takes all of the time we're doing to do it. For some reason, early in my life, I became compelled by this. It took over. This is what I've been searching for from day one. I haven't just been searching. I have found so much. I would tell you I found everything, but of course you don't find everything. What you find is the enormity is even bigger than the enormity you knew. It just gets more and more and more. It's what I call the mystery, because I can no longer figure it out on any level. There's no way to know what we're dealing with here other than that it's real. It's real, and it's knowable, and you can know it now, today, in this moment. How can you know it in this moment? Because you're in it right now, and this is real. This is not a fantasy. This is not an image of something. This is the very truth right here. And it feels beautiful and painful. It's right here. And you have a choice to deaden yourself to it, and you have a choice to open yourself to it. You can truly go yes to this very second, and there you are. It's the totality right now, here at this second. And why one doesn't do that, I can tell you why you don't do it. It's mostly ignorance, resistance, distraction. We don't do it because we don't believe it. We don't believe it. We keep thinking it's going to be this other thing. It's not an other thing. It's this. It's just this. This is God in form. You are God incarnate. And your environment that you live in is God in myriads of forms and experiences, energies, emotions, thoughts, the need to move your bowels, the need to pee, the need to, have an ice cream sundae. It's God. All happening, all at one time. It's really confusing to the mind. The mind can't comprehend any of this, but it is this. This is it. Be alive to it. You will be offered within this framework opportunities to opt out. If you're wise, you won't do it. I have a cousin who became a heroin addict. I watch what happens when you opt for the world of no pain. It doesn't come cheap. It doesn't come cheap. You become a thief, you become a liar, you become all of these things because you want no pain. But what you do is you inflict pain like mad, and you really are always on the edge of unbearable pain. Don't go there. You don't have to go there. Accept the pain of the moment. It's never more than you can bear, really. I've been learning so much about it because, when my shoulder hurts in the middle of the night, it's like, I keep waking up. But now I'm lying there saying, okay, it hurts. It's okay. And I lie on the hurt. I literally lie on the hurt, and I go back to sleep. The pain is there, but I just go back to sleep. Okay, I can do that. It's weird, but I do it, and it wakes me up again, and I do it again. There's a lot of effort and a lot of work involved, but it's whatever, for some reason, it's happening, and for some reason, I'm talking to you about it, and I gather I'm not the only person who experiences pain in the world, especially in the middle of the night, and, we all have to deal with it in some way. My suggestion to you is learn from it. It's God's love in some unfathomable way. We're not going to understand it, but it's not to torment you. It's not about torment. It's about life. Life is a duality. It's vibrant beyond belief. It's painful beyond belief. And right at the very heart of your own body is access to this remarkable, unbelievable truth, which is the depth of your own ocean, if you will. The depth of the ocean, that there you go, and there's pain up there on the surface, the rolling of the waves, and here you are, not separate from it, because it's rolling on the surface, but not being thrown about by it. You're just in the stillness of the depth of your being. It's available to you. It's accessible. You just have to sit still. You just have to say yes to it. You just have to say, please help me to surrender. And it comes. And it's a gift to every human being. And when you leave this world, the very most familiar, beautiful part of your life will be the thing that's left. That's what you will go to. When there's nothing but that, you will know it. When you have never known it in your life, when you haven't ever tried to get there in your life, when you live a life of total distraction, how are you going to find that in the last seconds of your life? How? Maybe you'll be lucky. How do you get there? You get there by saying, I want this. Help me to get there. And it arrives. And it totally affects the truth, the reality, and the atmosphere of your daily existence. That's what we're doing. So, atmosphere, psychotic drugs, or whatever they're called, and knowing God in one talk. Any questions? Carl?
Thank you. I've been battling with chronic pain, as you know, for 3.5 years. I had a surgery, and the side effect of the scar tissue is a condition called trigeminal neuralgia, which is chronic nerve pain in the head and face. I have been trying the ones you've taken and everything, and I've had the same conclusion and don't take anything now. But I feel like I've not been able to breathe properly from just the pressure and the fighting and the tiredness of dealing with chronic pain. It's like a closed heart, stuck feeling that almost feels connected to here, back and forth. Even my meditation has changed, I feel like, because of it. And I want to ask you what to do when you can't breathe. Because that to me is a big battle, and also what the fear almost of the pain. And then sometimes you can let it go and it can be calm, but it always is a bit of a shortness of a breath and a stuck feeling and an anxiety and a constant tension that is no part of my daily life.
I mean, I'll tell you this privately and personally.
Yeah, sure.
Consistency of effort.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this has to become the war zone that you operate in. It can't be what's the word? An occasional wishing to get through this. You have to make this your life battle, and it will be worth it. But you can't knock on this door once a week or once a month and say, please open. Because as much as that pain is there, it's going to pull you back. And these guys are going to listen to that kind of almost really needing this thing. And they're going to go, you're not ready. You're not there. You're not asking properly. You're not there yet. We have to come to this door day to day, moment to moment, and say, now, please help me. This is how it works. If you really, really ask, it will be given. If you knock, it will be opened. And I love you to death, and you know that. I absolutely do. But there is a lack of consistency in the effort, and that lack of consistency doesn't get the door open. That's all I can tell you. It also, and this is scary on one level, once it opens and they take you in and they love you to death like I do, you know, it's still going to be there. The pain will still be there. That's the thing. And then you're going to go, what was the value of that? But the value of that is that you'll feel loved at the same time, really loved. And you will walk around, as I know it's really happening, you will have a feeling for other people and a compassion for other people that will blow you away. You will so get the human condition. You will so get what it means to be alive. You will so get how lucky we all are that there is a passageway into something greater that very few people even know about. That you will be one of these people who, through your pain, will become a blessing to other people. That's how it can work. But it doesn't take the pain away. It's still there. Or maybe it does. This is new to me. This is 4 months of whatever it is. It's not fun. And I know you've been going through it for a few years now, and it's really hard. But you have two choices. One is the drugs, or maybe three choices.
Which is basically being a zombie.
Yeah, the zombie life, which they make very hard to get off of. And truly there's greed in this. They're pharmaceutical people who are very well served by our pain, honestly. And you can let them have all this power, or you start to take power again over this. But it takes daily effort. And you say, well, I'm tired and I'm not sleeping. I'm not sure you're saying that, but one does say that. No excuses. You have to just knock on that door and say, please help me. Please. And then see where it goes. My suspicion is at some moment this will open. But what I know, because I know you very well, that the thing it will open to is alive and well in you. It's there. I see it. It's right there now. There's no question about it. So it's not like you don't have it. You just don't access it. And you don't access it. Why? Well, partly because the environment is so messy and screwed up. You can't even remember to go there to do it some of the time. But that's what you have to do. Even if you have to put a little note on the mirror somewhere saying, take a breath, ask for help, whatever it is, sit and meditate. Find this space. It will help. Anybody else? Okay. Quick note. Next week is my 70th birthday. We're going to send out a little bit of a notice to you. It's actually on Sunday, on the next class. And I decided, although I'm having a lot of family over the night before, I really want to celebrate my birthday with you guys. Nothing is more meaningful to me. So I'll teach class. We'll have another brunch. We'll have a brunch after. We're actually going to start at 11, although because time change is happening that day, it's really still going to be 10. But we'll start at 11. After the class, somewhere around 1-ish, 12:31, we will have a brunch. Any of you who have anybody you would like to bring, significant others, to the brunch is welcome to come and join you here if they can. I know the logistics are a little complicated, but you're welcome to bring them so that we can just hang out for a while in the afternoon. My granddaughter will be here. She's fun to have around, and we'll just hang out for a while, and I would enjoy that. So thank you very much, and lots of love to you all.